Every time you try to level up, something falls apart. You add speed work and tweak your calf. You build momentum and suddenly your Achilles, your knee, your lower back start talking. And the frustrating part, you're not out of shape, but your body is missing 4 specific training skills that standard programs just don't teach. In this video, I'm going to show you what those 4 skills are and how to start building them. If you're here, you already have the training basics in place. That's awesome. But there comes a point when the basics aren't enough to take us where we want to go. If you want to pursue big goals that push your limits, you need more tailored, intentional, and precise training skills. But nobody teaches what comes next. There's very little guidance around how to safely transition from generally healthy into high-performing and resilient athlete over 40. So many women will start adding intensity thinking that harder is better. More work, bigger weights, extra sessions, faster intervals, without upgrading the structure underneath. And this is where the Jenga tower starts to get wonky before it collapses. Because your body no longer tolerates random stress accumulation the way that it did when you were 25. That means advanced training requires advanced management and advanced skills. So what are the actual skills that determine whether intensity builds you or breaks you? The first advanced skill is periodization. This means that instead of trying to improve everything all at once, we're organizing the total training load into periods or cycles. And within those periods, we're changing up the training variables, seeking specific training adaptations using a long-term layered approach. You intentionally vary volume or load for a period of time to focus on that one key aspect of your fitness or performance, like strength, speed, power, hypertrophy, or endurance. Then between each period or cycle is typically a deload phase, because your body can't stay in a stress accumulation mode forever. You have to plan for breaks to recover. And this becomes even more important in midlife because tissue remodeling slows down. Connective tissue takes longer to adapt. Soft tissue inflammation is higher. Stress tolerance fluctuates more. So if every week of your training looks equally hard, eventually your body forces a deload, whether you planned it or not. Usually you're driven to take a break because you're exhausted or you're injured. But the smarter way is to plan for harder weeks and plan for deload weeks so they happen on purpose before you break down. The women who keep progressing over 40 are not training easier, they're training in waves. Stress becomes strategic instead of constant. But even with good periodization, there's another skill most women completely miss. And this is where a lot of recurring injuries come from. The second skill is targeted supportive movement. Most people think training means the workout itself, the run, the lifting session, the biking, the intervals. But advanced athletes spend a surprising amount of time preparing their body for the training they want to tolerate. Not random stretching, specific preparation for specific demands. Because the more you choose to challenge your body, the more support you need to give it. And this is where so many athletic women over 40 run into trouble. They maintain fitness while quietly losing movement variability and control. When intensity increases, your body then has less options for how to distribute force and load, so everything gets dumped onto the same tissues over and over. Then when they get injured, we think it's age, but it's actually poor movement support. That's why someone can look really fit, but deal with persistent Achilles irritation, hamstring strains, hip and lower back pain. The issue often isn't fitness or an intolerance to intensity. It's that the system underneath the fitness isn't supported enough to handle those demands. One of the biggest shifts I make with athletes is teaching their body to absorb stress better, to stabilize better, move better, and recover better. Because durability is a trainable skill. I've put together a free age athletically training audit that gives you a starting point for building these skills into your current training. The link is in the description. Grab it now because what you find there is going to be really useful as we talk about skills 3 and 4. The third skill is learning to push your limits safely. I will be the first to tell you that haphazardly pushing your body to its limits is a bad idea. You have to learn to push your limits safely if you want to pursue more advanced goals. Building advanced fitness is uncomfortable, but there's a big difference between discomfort and destruction. And often it's a very fine line. Many women struggle to distinguish between the two. Either they constantly override and push through the warning signals, or they become so cautious that they stop exposing themselves to meaningful training stress at all. Neither approach works. Advanced athletes learn how to welcome discomfort without crossing into destruction. They learn to read their own gauge. They know what normal discomfort feels like. They know when to call it, and they know what accumulating recovery debt feels like before it becomes an injury. It's a long game, so we have to approach it that way. And a big part of that is recognizing that advanced training requires more robust and deliberate preparation and recovery. If you look at an elite athlete's program, mobility and recovery are not treated like extra credit. They're part of the program. Recovery is planned between sets, between sessions, and between training blocks. These can't be skipped or rushed. Rest periods inside a workout allow your nervous system to reset, your energy stores to replenish, and your body to produce quality output again. The recovery between sessions is where your body repairs tissue, restores glycogen, and actually adapts. And then there are those planned deloads, dedicated weeks where volume or intensity come down before your body forces the issue through injury, exhaustion, poor sleep, or flat performance. Most athletes benefit from a deload every 4 to 6 weeks. For many women in midlife, every 3 to 4 weeks might work better. You can never outtrain your ability to recover. Advanced training only works when recovery capacity can support it. And that's how you push your limits safely. Skill number 4, strategic adaptation. This final skill is learning how to adjust your training in real time without emotionally spiraling every time something changes. Because advanced training in midlife has to adapt to reality. Not who you were at 28, not who you wish you still recovered like, but who you actually are right now. And this is important. Even if you've trained consistently for decades, even if your nutrition is solid, even if you've taken care of yourself incredibly well, midlife still changes the game. Because now you're training inside 3 overlapping realities. You're aging, your hormones are shifting, and life is really complex. Aging changes tissue recovery, nervous system resilience, and adaptation timelines. Perimenopause and menopause change recovery patterns, sleep quality, thermal regulation, stress sensitivity, and how your body tolerates load. And then there's life itself. Career stress, aging parents, launching teenagers into young adults, more travel, interrupted sleep, bigger emotional loads, less margin for error. Which means that advanced training cannot just be hard. It has to be responsive. This is why so many women accidentally break themselves trying to follow rigid programming built for bodies and lives that don't look like theirs anymore. Women who thrive long-term stop treating adjustments to their program like failure. Instead, they're gathering feedback constantly on sleep quality, mood, resting heart rate, energy, life stress. No judgment, just data. And then they make decisions strategically. Maybe their training intensity stays high, but their volume drops. Maybe their lifting stays heavy, but sprint work pauses temporarily. Maybe you take a deload week instead of pushing through tough sessions while your schedule is chaotic. That's not inconsistency, that's advanced self-regulation. And honestly, it's one of the biggest mindset shifts that's needed for high-performing women. Because the goal is not to win one workout. The goal is to keep training hard for years without constantly rebuilding from injury, exhaustion, or burnout. That's what advanced training actually looks like in midlife. Not smaller goals, smarter adaptation. So there's something I want you to do after this video. I want you to pull up your training calendar for the next 2 weeks and look honestly at how many days are actually hard. For most women, it's way more than they think and way more than they even need. Because what happens is we accidentally live in this gray zone where everything is just kind of medium hard all the time. But moderately hard all the time is a recipe for burnout. It's usually a signal that you're too tired and under recovered to really go hard on hard days. And you're not going easy enough either on easy days to actually recover. And so your body never fully recovers, but it also never gets a high enough stimulus to truly cause adaptation. So here's the adjustment. Limit yourself to no more than 2 truly hard training days per week. That's it. And on the remaining days, either cut the volume significantly or keep your cardio in zone 1 or 2 easy effort. High performance requires variation. Push, recover, adapt, repeat. So if every attempt you make to train harder has felt like a cycle of progress, followed by collapse, this is why. The next question is how these 4 skills fit into a system. I broke down the full approach right here.